It's a good place to begin our conversation tonight, and it's exactly a minute past the top of the hour. Sabina Chege is already seated, but as always, let's take you back to history by telling you what the Standard newspaper, the Bold newspaper, carried last. This was 2016, 9 years to the day today, and the headline was "Court vows to stage demonstrations as Jubilee Party dismisses talks. The window for dialogue over reforms in the electoral body is closing as the clergy and the business leaders want politicians to step back and give reason a chance, or reason together." That was the headline on the same day today, 9 years ago, June 5th, 2016. And of course, the more things change, they remain the same. This conversation about the IBC is still very alive, and we know where it is right now. So it's always being discussed year in, year out. 9 years ago, it was still being discussed. Also, there was a story about Soita Shitanda laid to rest on the same day, but I'd like to scroll back up. Let's scroll back up and look at the headline, because there was also an important headline. Then, just a little more, right at the top, the world mourns the death of a legend. Muhammad Ali loomed large inside and outside the boxing ring, and on this day, the world was mourning the death of Muhammad Ali, as Soita Shitanda was also being buried. It was a Sunday. A good place to begin our discussion. We'll be taking a look at tonight's newspaper, today's news tomorrow, in the newspaper from the Bold newspaper, in a short while. But before then, just some development from the Standard Group PLC, because we have a new CEO. Marion Gadoga Mwangi has been appointed as the new Group Chief Executive Officer. That appointment was announced by the chairperson of the Board of Directors, Dr. Julius Kipngetich. Now, Gadoga Mwangi is a senior executive who has worked in various senior positions in various companies for at least 26 years. She takes over from Joe Munene, who has been serving in acting capacity. Prior to her appointment, she worked in senior leadership positions, including being the county director at Cadbury Kenya East Africa Limited, general manager at Unga Kenya Limited, and country director Parmalat Botswana Proprietary Limited company in Gaborone, among others. She is set to officially join the company on the 15th of July 2024. Karibu, Madam CEO, and Karibu, Mheshimiwa, on the round table. You know, it's been a while. I have wanted to sit with you on this table since the election 2022.
You know, it's always good to take a break.
So you took a break?
Yes, I did.
Umeenda hivi na hivi?
Kidogo.
You have been busy, but finally you're here.
Yes.
Let's begin with your role in Parliament. How did you get that role? After Azimio said they no longer require your services.
Well, I don't think Azimio didn't require my services. They were just unhappy with me. Mm-hmm. And so they decided to kick me out. They never gave me a chance. There are some people who went to court to try and object, and the court said we go back to the party and, you know, talk about it, or for the party to actually justify why they did what they did. Mm-hmm. But they didn't give me a chance. So
to defend yourself?
No.
Okay.
Neither was I even invited for the meetings that I was alleged that I never attended. So
really?
So when you know, when people don't want you, mm-hmm. we chose as Jubilee to write to Parliament and through our NEC to request that Jubilee be treated as an independent political party. Because, you know, as per our standing orders, once a political party has more than 18 members, it can actually be treated as independent parliamentary party.
Okay. But Sabina, there was nothing to defend, essentially. I mean, right after the election, your allegiance changed to the ruling party. There was nothing to defend.
No, I just did what even ODM are doing today. And they're still in Azimio. Mm-hmm.
Which is working with the ruling party?
No, yeah, it's really, after the elections, there's a government. And you cannot dismiss that there's a government.
Yes.
And you are, especially when you are people's representative, when you're in Parliament, you cannot ignore. I just said that I will not do maandamano. I called for what they did after. I called for national dialogue. I was against going to the streets. I was against wearing of sufriyas on the head. I was against, you know, demonstrating and using other people's children while you are seated inside a vehicle that is air-conditioned when you are tear-gassed.
And armored.
And exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I said, as a mother, and as a person who has been in leadership for the last 10 years, I advocated for dialogue. And that's what I called for. When I said I will not go for demonstration, then that's when things fell apart. And that's what I said. I was not even given a chance to say why I strongly felt that we didn't need to do demonstrations, but we needed to do a dialogue.
Okay.
And when I called for national dialogue, finally it happened. And you've seen the fruits of the dialogue, and it's a process that is still ongoing in both Senate and the National Assembly. And that's what a nation that wants to develop should do. Because once you start bringing each other down, remember, we all belong to this country, whether you won or you lost. We all belong to this country, and we should just hold hands and ask ourselves, how then do we work for the people? Because even if you are in opposition, you are elected by your people. Your people expect that you're going to represent them in parliament. And representation does not mean fighting the government. Representation means giving your best ideas. They might be taken or not taken, but you remember, you say majority will have their way, but also minority will have their say. So I advocated for members of parliament and the people in the executive to actually have a dialogue. And so I felt that we had an upper hand being in parliament. And even with the conversations going on, that I can go and give my views in parliament. I might not win, but I have that chance.
Your voice will be heard.
So this idea of us politicians going to talk at the funerals and there in the public and trying to incite the public, but when it comes to the real thing on the floor of the house, you're not seen, you don't speak, then you are lying. You just want to become popular to show your people like you're representing them, but you're not. And there's the whole role of legislation. We can make laws, you can amend the laws that are oppressive to the people. There are many things that we can do in parliament instead of wasting time going for the demonstrations. And you have seen what have happened. Baba has followed. So we are all in this country and we want the best for this country.
Someone would still ask, Sabina, was this political expediency? Because your reasoning is a moral reasoning. This is morally right. But not a political reasoning, because politics are played in numbers. That's why you join a coalition at the end of it. You leaving plus a host of other Jubilee members of parliament, you must admit, weakened Azimio significantly.
We didn't leave. We were chased away. We were not accommodated. And you see what happens to Jubilee, you need to understand that even for us to get our presidential candidate, it happened, it was 5 months to the general election. And we pushed. Some of us went an extra mile. And we pushed for a candidate, we lost. We went to the Supreme Court, we lost. And all that we wanted when we come back, we needed leadership, we needed to sit down and strategize. But our former leader, because he was not available, when we tried to reach out, we could not get him. So we became like orphans. And so we had to look for allies, people we can collaborate with, people who are listening to us. Because if you remember, we lost our position of the Parliamentary Service Commissioner, which was supposed to go to Jubilee, but ODM took two slots. And when we tried to ask them to give us time, even to deliberate, they ignored us. If you look at the distribution of our membership in the committees, we were not consulted. And so there were all these things that we were not very comfortable with. And as Jubilee, we said, when you're not needed in a relationship, it was a relationship that we went through the elections. After the elections, we were not needed. We had also to chart our way forward, and that's what we did as members of Jubilee. We requested the Speaker for us to become a parliamentary party, to be independent, and that's how I ended up from a deputy minority whip to a whip of
the
Jubilee
Party in Parliament. Who is the leader of, who is the Secretary General of Jubilee Party, Sabina?
I might not be able to comment on that because we have that matter in court. Because you remember there was the NEC members who are the ruling organ within the party made a decision. The decision that was also upheld in court. Then there was an appeal. So right now, it's grey. It's in court.
So it's grey. As at now, we are operating with how do we call it?
There are some conservatory orders that took Jubilee back to the settings of 2022. So that's where we are, the conservatory orders. And so I would rest
status quo. I was looking for the word. Status quo remains. Status quo remains. I mean, that barely, that honestly explains where we are with the Jubilee Party. So how is it sitting on the other side after all those years in the government side?
Interesting, because you have a time to reflect. You have also a time to listen. And I think to do things better, because sometimes when you are operating under a government, there are so many instructions coming from all over, and sometimes you are overwhelmed. But now I served as a chair for 2 terms. So this time I'm only a member of Agriculture Committee. And that's what I told you, even when we were being allocated committees, there was a lot of discrimination within our coalition.
It wasn't based on the numbers that were in Parliament?
No.
But that's the ideal. I mean, the more the numbers, even the fact that you sit in the majority or minority side is based
you see,
strictly
the
on
numbers are given to the coalitions. So the coalition partners then
have to choose
the leadership choose who to give where.
So they would have chosen. They would have chosen and said Jubilee, equal partners get
Exactly, so that didn't happen. But we are happy where we are. I am learning new things. I've led for a long time. I'm being led, and I'm enjoying being led.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to take a back seat and watch as things happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the notion that Parliament is an appendage to the executive and it's being held hostage by the executive. But before I ask you that, I'll go back to the original question. Do you think if you maintained your numbers, the Azimio side, if Azimio treated you well, the majority side in the National Assembly could have been and should have been by now Azimio coalition?
Well, Azimio coalition would have lasted if we respected each other and we treated everybody equally. But Jubilee being a second, we are third largest political party in Parliament. Within the Azimio coalition, then we were number 2, because we have 28 members. ODM leads, and then we had Wiper that had 24 members. But because Wiper had their leader intact, who is Kalonzo Musyoka, he was able to negotiate for them. So for us, we were left like orphans. We didn't have anybody to negotiate.
The hard work that you did. You did a
and
lot
so
of work.
When we tried to even reach out to our party boss, he would tell you, talk to Junet. Junet, his interest is in ODM. So surely. Well, I also want to say something. Being in government or in opposition doesn't mean that somebody is holding a gun on your head.
Okay.
It's not an excuse. You can be able to execute what you believe in, or what you believe is the best for the best interest of the country. It doesn't mean because you are in opposition, you have to oppose everything that the government brings. No. If there are some things that you saw, and I admired Esther Passaris when the issue of housing came, and she said, Nairobi, our main challenge is housing. So I'm supporting this, not because I am supporting the government, but because I want my people to benefit.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that if you're in the government also your brain is taken away and you can't think. We have seen on some incidences, and especially when it was on the impeachment of the CS Linturi, some people came and they were in the government side and said they're opposing. So it doesn't matter which side you belong to. The big question is what took you to that house and what is your role in that house. And Parliament is not a place for competition. It's a place that we are supposed to work for the benefit of the people. We are people's representatives who took us there. And once you get into Parliament, you may, even as a member of a single constituency, there are people who never supported you, but they are your constituents. So you cannot just go and get goodies for the people who voted for you. You also get for the ones
for the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things that I admire the current president is that we have seen him reaching out to the areas that he was not elected. For instance, I believe, and I see it, I might be wrong, that the biggest beneficiary of this government is Homa Bay County. And I think they have a smart governor who is a lady called Gladys Wanga. I admire her. She has been able to work well with the government, work well with the development partners. You've seen her, even in the US she was there. Despite that she belongs to the opposition, she has taken up her leadership as the governor of Homa Bay County. And you have seen her, she did a mega event. I admired her, and she has started doing projects that have never been done before. I was in Maradaraka, they went to Bungoma County, though they were part of the Kenya Kwanza because of the Honorable Wetangula, our speaker. But still, you can see Western is warming up now to the government. But clearly, you can see benefits. I went there, the stadium, I admired. I wish it was in Murang'a County, and I wish the next Madaraka or the next national event can be brought to Murang'a County.
Do they have a stadium to host Madaraka?
That's it. Even Bungoma didn't have. It was built.
But the project of Bungoma County is not for this government. It started before this government.
It's started for there. But you remember we were supposed to have such stadiums in all the...
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
So there's a lot of projects that started with the previous government that are being completed by this government. And so we can see a government that is warm to the people, even the ones who didn't vote for them. And I think that's leadership. And I was saying, as leaders, every time we go on an election and then you have a number 2 or number 3 who does not accept that they lost, then what are we telling our children? That even in school, if you are number 2 or number 3, you should not accept that position. But every competition, there's a winner and there's a loser.
There must be, yeah.
And I think that was the spirit then of the BBI, where the proposal was we remove the issue of the winner, take it, or so that some people in this country don't feel like they don't belong to Kenya. I was lucky to have joined Azimio. I was lucky to go around the entire country, and I was shocked. And when I came back, I told my people, you guys are blessed. There are some places in this country that they have not known tarmac. The tarmac is only on the highway. Mm-hmm. So as we compete for resources, there are some people that totally were left out. Mm-hmm. And I can see things changing. One of the spirit of devolution was to make sure that we are able to develop such areas. But still, there are some counties that are very far. There are some counties that are still grappling and with issues like water. Even in Murang'a, it's not 100% covered by water, but there are places. I went to Siaya, where women still go to fetch water
from the lake.
Yeah. And that water is not even treated. They go wash their clothes there. They go get the water. They just boil it or they just drink it as it is. You know, the issue of malaria, the way it affects the women from that region, the Luo Nyanza, it's very sad that a lot of them don't carry pregnancies to the term. And so they get so many miscarriages, then they fear even getting pregnant. So the population is going down. Okay. So there are things that we assume because we have, and I would say from our region, we have been privileged to have leadership. When leadership is close to you, sometimes there are other benefits that you get that other people don't get. Yeah. And so it is important that we appreciate that Kenya is one big country, we are one big family, and we should take care of each other. Okay. Yeah.
At what point, I'll go back to Parliament,
yes.
But because I have to ask this is related to Parliament, at what point did you begin to believe in the Kenya Kwanza government?
It's not at what point, because Kenya Kwanza government won. So it is my government, it is your government. Yes. So whether you believe in it or not, it is a government that you have to work with. And that's the reality of the matter. So by the time we had these rumbles with ODM and with the Azimio, and we wanted to stand on our own feet, then now they decided they also want to fight us back. Remember, I was also almost being kicked out of my political party for exercising my rights. So when we won in court, they went and appealed. And currently, even now, we have a court case that Honorable Paranya has gone to challenge the decision of the Speaker to make us a parliamentary party. And this is it's a very direct, I don't also want to go through it. It's a matter that is in court. But it's a direct matter that our standing orders answers. So when you're kicked out and you're not needed, we asked for friendship. We asked for a working relationship with Kenya Kwanza. We are collaborating with them. It doesn't mean that we have to agree on everything. It doesn't mean, as I said, the government doesn't carry your brain. As an individual, you know why you are there. You know what you are fighting for, especially on the oversight, because there's the oversight that you do for the specific area that you come from. But there are other things that affect the whole country, especially in policy making. Yeah. And you should be very sensitive to the needs of the people and to the voice of the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So having established that fact, now that you, the party members from the Jubilee Party, aided in giving the government a supermajority at the National Assembly, because that's what they have. And now, I have sat here with leaders who say they are members of Parliament whose work is to vote. They don't read, they don't do debates. The only thing they do is the bell is rung for voting and everyone rushes, and definitely the government carries the day. That lends credence to part of the reasoning that Parliament has become an appendage of the executive and does the bidding of the executive in the National Assembly. And everything that the executive wants Sabina passes in the National Assembly, thanks to some of the actions that not only Jubilee Party members, but even other parties took post-election.
It's very sad if a member of Parliament would say, I don't read, I'll not debate, but then I'm waiting for the bell to be rung, I go vote.
Yes.
I don't blame that one. I will not blame it to the government. I'll blame it to the people who elected such kind of a character. Because you cannot say, as a member of parliament, you're waiting to be told, go vote.
That's the only thing they wait for.
Then
vote,
you don't.
Then
they don't know why they went to parliament. They have no idea why they went there.
It's because they can't go against the executive.
You can. I can give you an example. The first time I became the chair of education, I was a first timer. And I remember the president then, Uhuru Kenyatta, brought in some names that proposed some TSC commissioners.
Okay.
But the way the appointment was done was against the law. We went through it as a committee. And we said no.
Okay.
We tabled, it was the first time we tabled in parliament, and we gave facts, and we said, we have no problem. The president this exercise must be repeated. It was repeated. So for the people who would say they are waiting for the bell to be rung, it just tells you they are just lazy. They have no idea where they went to parliament. There are people who think coming to parliament is, it's posh. They want to have power, or they had some loose cash, or they went through a wave. The political party wave, they were lucky to come to parliament. Then you find yourself then, you're like, Allah, what am I doing here? So they have no idea. Because even if the government wants something to pass, there is lobbying, there is a lot of explanation. And it doesn't stop any member to tell the executive, on this one, no. If this one will not work for my people, no. It doesn't stop that.
Okay.
It doesn't stop anyone.
One of the main debates that is going to come to Parliament is the one on the finance bill.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the general thoughts? I know you have perhaps interacted with the document. What are your general thoughts on this document? Because I will tell you there are countless number of groups that have, one, threatened to go to court after it goes to Parliament. There are quite a number that have done submissions who are also saying there are clauses in there that they deem as very punitive and needs to be readdressed. As a member of Parliament, and the last budget, 2023-2024, you voted with the government.
I don't remember how I voted. I don't remember how I voted.
The reason why I'm saying you voted, unless you abstained, because the people who didn't vote for the government walked out, and others opposed it publicly.
I was away. I
you were
remember
away, so
that
you
time.
didn't vote?
No, I didn't vote.
Was it convenient?
No, I remember I was out of the
on
country.
duty.
Yes, I
on
was
duty.
on duty. Yes.
Okay.
I was not there.
It was said as very punitive then. This one is said to be double punitive.
Let me explain to you something.
Yes.
The beauty of the new constitution is that Kenyans are able to interact with the budget. Before, initially we used to wait for the finance minister to come with that bag. I don't know why they still carry it.
The briefcase.
The briefcase till today. Those are funny traditions that we still have in the car. Flower, the red one that they have. But anyway, Kenyans are able to interact with the budget before it comes actually for the final. Actually, I don't now see the reason for the minister to come and read. Because Parliament even debate, they approve, and such that it's just a formality for the minister. Yeah, for the minister. It's no longer exciting. I remember in the village then when the budget was being read,
everyone
our parents
sat down
with like a small Sanyo radio and they would listen. But also Kenyans are now very well exposed. This is a bill. The finance bill is a bill. What happens to a bill? A bill, there are things that can be very good. There are things that can be punitive. And any member of the public, through public participation, can give their views. Once they give their views to the committee will bring the bill to Parliament with amendments. Members of the National Assembly have a chance also to amend. So whatever is out there being debated is very healthy. That is very good that people are debating. We are listening. And the most important thing is that what will happen when we come to we cannot just say throw away the entire finance bill. But we need to listen to the people, and amendments will be done. For that one, I promise you, you will see a lot of dynamics in the amendments.
So the people's voice actually counts.
It counts.
When these public participations are done. People's voice counts.
It counts. It counts. And I'm enjoying what I am seeing, different sectors coming up. And it's a high time now the executive gets experts to listen to the people. Before such a bill comes to Parliament, so that we avoid a lot of backlash. But number two, they have opened up. You see now, the people who never used to be taxed are now being touched by the taxation. Because remember, a lot of taxations are happening to the people who are in informal sector. So what the government is doing is also now going to the informal sector. And so it's also a shocker for the people who never used to pay taxes.
Is it really because it's a shocker, or because less and less people are able to pay tax?
Well, there are people who are able to pay tax and they are evading tax.
Yes.
So it's a mixture of two. The economy has not been very good, again. So what happens when the government overtaxes? People try to look for ways to evade tax.
Not to pay it.
Not to pay it at all. So that's a difference. And so we need to be a bit careful not to force people into too many taxes. And then there are too many. I was going through the bill. There's one you should pay by date 5th, another one by 20th. So you need somebody even to educate you on all these things. We need to make taxation as simple as possible. We need also to train our people. Even, like when you go to the supermarket, if you have your PIN, you should be giving it out because there is a way you can be able to claim that tax back. So there are many things that are happening and our people are now much more enlightened. That's why you can see people discussing. But most important is for us leaders to be very careful. When people raise their voices or they are concerned, how do we respond? Because there's a way I would respond to you and you understand, but there's a way I would respond to you with arrogance. Then I'll show like I do not care. What I do?
You'll have to do what I want.
You'll have to do what I want.
At the end of the day,
so
yes.
That's where we really need to look at as a parliament. Even when, as people come to do their presentation, even when we appear in the media, even when we appear in our political rallies, how are we addressing the people? But number two, are we also listening? Because listening is very important. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, if I get you right, you think there's so many taxes in there. Do you think we would address this by making what we're taxing predictable? So that at the end of the day, I know this is what the government wants for me.
Exactly, because I was listening to some people saying we have this tax called pay as you earn.
Yes.
So you are paying as you earn. Then now you're being told your vehicle, by the time you're getting insurance, you'll be paying another 2.5%.
Yeah.
Then you're being told now because there is echo something, so the bread that you take in the morning is going to be added more tax. Are you getting it? Then you're being told because of the batteries and everything else, taxes are going up. So even your smartphone is going up. Then there's the issue of you're using your M-Pesa, mobile phone, the issue with you, even for transactions. So all these things, and you're asking one person. So I think we need to simplify it to a way that it is easier, that I know this is what expected of me. If I have a formal, like job, and I have this amount of money per month, this is what is expected. And if I pay this, then I can be able to claim, when I go to do shopping and I paid for pay as you earn, I will claim for the taxes that I was taxed when I was shopping, because there's somebody who did not pay as they earned because they don't pay for that tax, but they went shopping. This is where the government gets the money. So there are all those dynamics that we need really to educate our people, but it's a big change. I have seen Kenyans have a lot of information.
They know what's happening. They know what's happening.
Yeah, they know.
So then, how would you balance this against the interest of the government to raise on-source revenue, to stop borrowing? Because part of the reason why we are in this ditch is because we are in a hole that we have been digging for a long time. And even the current government has borrowed a lot of money still. So how do you balance what you're saying, the need for on-source revenue to cater for our expenses, especially on recurrent, which is a lot, against the need for Kenyans to be educated and to have tax that is predictable? Where do you draw that line?
The government supports its projects through taxation. Every time I go or attend these functions, you hear the leaders ourselves having a list. My people want a road.
Exactly.
We want hospital. We want what? And then we ask, so where will this money come from? I think prudence use of the money that we collect is what is very important. Let us not tax our people. Then Kenyans can see us misusing the amount of money that we are taxing them. So let us prioritize and put the money where it's highly needed. For instance, if we'll tax people and when they go to our hospitals, right now we have the challenge of vaccines. If they go to the hospitals, they'll find medication. They will find doctors. They will not be on strike for a month or 2 months. Then people will be comfortable because I know even if I pay my taxes, when I get sick, when I go to the hospital, I'll find
medicine and doctors who are paid.
Can we have CDF that gives bursary to our children? We have governor who is giving bursary to the children. We have women rep who are giving bursary to the children. We have presidential bursary. So all this money, why can't it be put in one basket? I know members of parliament will not support me because that is what they go to the ground. They want to take a photo with a check and saying, I have given your children bursary and this is the amount of money, but that is the taxpayers' money. So if this money is put together and then we have clear how many students we have in high school, how many cannot be able to pay because there's a way you can be able to tell, then why can't government just settle so that you know our education, we say it's free primary education, but yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, was in Kigumo, in a place called Kahumbu. I found a boy who is now in grade 8, who was crying because he has been out of school for 2 weeks because he didn't have 500 shillings that they're being asked for JSS. So when you're saying our basic education, or it was then the primary education is free, now we have JSS, how have we synchronized to make sure that there is a flow and then we can say we have taken care of education? Are we also clear with that system of JSS? What is the plan? Because those children are in now same primary school that they were in a different uniform.
And they're not being taught.
What is the exit plan for them going to high school? So if all this money, we can be able to put it in one basket. What we like is a show. I think Kenyans, we like drama. We like, you are calling students for bursary, you are giving checks. So you get a tent that is 1 million, you get entertainment and everything. So you end up spending 3 million on an event to give
6 million shillings.
Exactly. So prudent use of the tax.
That is where the problem lies.
That is where it is. And prioritizing. What is our priority? Because yes, we were at a deficit. It was 800 billion, now we are at 606. I heard the Nyoro saying this afternoon. So if we have moved from 5.3 to 3.8, then what are our priority areas? Is it education, health? Then we look at maybe electricity. Let's look at where we cannot bite, a lot that we cannot be able to chew. We have to prioritize and say for this one. I remember, I think when Kibaki came, even for the government vehicles, he said we cannot be using these fuel guzzlers. I think he went for
2000
it was,
exactly.
It was Passat. So when you're saying you're cutting measures, don't just say it. Let the Kenyans see it's true you are cutting measures. And let's have genuine advisors. Not advisors who will advise on books, but when it comes to reality, it is hurting the same people who voted for you.
And that's happening big time. Now, one of the realities that I think we are faced with is that we will not even meet our target for revenue collection.
We might not, because what has happened is that people now are coming up with schemes on how to evade paying taxes. So if you had 100 employees, they would say you fired 40 or 50, you pay only for 50, but you are paying them with an envelope down there.
So you're not paying taxes.
So you're not paying taxes. That's why I say the government need to have really a genuine conversation and find out.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It's not happening.
But we can collect more.
If
we give, even the people who have done tax evasion. I was talking to a friend of mine, they have businesses in Thika, and were telling me the taxman has come, they have come and calculated what they had not paid from 2018.
And they're claiming it.
And they have been told, pay within 30 days. Pay within 30 days. And if you don't pay within 30 days, we are going to now have an interest on it or fine on it. So surely, is it logical? And you know how things are happening? You know how even business people are straining to do business in Kenya. After COVID coming up with the economy and how things have been happening, an election, then there was a drought, then there are floods. So we have many challenges as a country. Why can't you have a conversation with that person and say, fine, from today henceforth, make sure your taxes are clean. Then give me a formula that is comfortable for you so that you don't lay off anyone. Give me a formula that is comfortable for you, how you're going. You owe the government this amount of money? Yes. Then give me a formula that you're comfortable that per month you'll be paying. Eventually, you will collect.
But the question is, how did they get to the point that they denied government tax for 4 years? Can't you, why are you not looking at the flip side?
No, it's true. But I have accepted
I owe you.
You have caught me.
Yes.
It's true.
So let's work on this.
Yeah, and maybe I have my reasons. Maybe I was trying to, to evade because these were the challenges. Okay.
But now we are here.
But now we are here.
What do we do?
You see, you can have maybe a company that is paying, let's assume, 5 million per month to the government. So then, if I was paying you 5 million taxes and you have told me within 30 days, if you don't do this, then I'm either going to close you down or I'm going to give you fines. Then you live and lose the 5 million I'm paying per month. So what I'll say, fine. I owe you 20 million. I pay my 5. So instead of paying 5, I'll be paying 5 plus 1 more. Give me per month until I clear.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. So instead of the 5 million I was paying, I'll be paying 5 or 6 or 7 or even
for
8
the next 1 year.
For the next 1 year.
Until I clear. And
so you collect more.
Is the government listening to this language?
I am not so sure.
Because I sat here with Jeremiah Kioni and he made the same sentiment, which brings me now to my next topic. Is there trouble in paradise?
Where is paradise?
Kenya Kwanza government.
I don't know. I don't know.
You're not a stranger in Jerusalem. You live in this country. Are there differences between the president? All right, let me bring it from this point. Did you attend Limuru 3? And why you didn't?
No.
Why didn't you attend Limuru 3?
One, I was away, but that's not the reason. I was not invited.
You were not invited?
No.
It was a public invite, according to
Number 3,
Kioni.
it would not have added me any value.
Okay.
Because I don't think Limuru 3 had any value to either the mountain or to Kenyans.
Really?
Yes. Let me ask you, how many tribes do we have in Kenya? Do those tribes meet? Do you ever have a news item that Somalis are meeting or Kalenjins are meeting? Why is it that it's only when Kikuyus are meeting, people know they are meeting?
Becomes big news.
Becomes big news. There are even invitations, even the topics to be discussed. It is even aired sometimes live, and even the resolutions. Do you want to tell me other communities don't meet? It is us Kikuyus who are exposing ourselves.
But there's nothing wrong with Kikuyus meeting.
There's nothing wrong, that's what I've said. But if you're meeting for the benefit of your community, meet, discuss, let it be private to you, and have a way forward to you. Why do you have to discuss your affairs in public? So that's why I told you, there are many people doing meetings and doing things just for the show. Because at the end of the day, after Limuru 3, what changed?
You have a new coalition called Haki Coalition.
Does it exist?
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta has been brought back as the political leader of that outfit.
And that's the saddest bit of all.
Why is it a sad bit?
Because Uhuru, who was my party leader, who is a man I respect a lot, served this country for 10 years.
Even before the 10 years?
He's supposed, yes, and he played his political role very well. And after 10 years, he is now a retired president. He's supposed to be an elder, who is not supposed only to represent Kikuyus, but the entire nation, and also Kenya to the world. That's why he was given the role at the Congo DRC. I think he was in South Africa another day.
He's still in South Africa. I think he's still in South Africa.
And he's supposed even to sit at a corner where he can also advise the current president. Because Kenya gave him 10 years to govern this country. There's something he knows that the current president may not know, or the deputy, or us as leaders. So he's supposed to be a mentor and remove himself from tribal leadership, and also remove himself from political party.
To his credit, he hasn't accepted that position.
Thank you.
It was given to him in absentia.
I want to ask you, it was given to him by absentia, and it's good he has not commented about it. The question is, how do you want to make an elder your errand boy? You want to tell Uhuru now, as an elder, we want you to be our spokesperson?
To convene us?
Look, who is the government spokesman? It is Mwaura. So you are putting now Uhuru. Kwanza Mwaura is even senior because he's speaking on behalf of a government that is a ruling party. But you want Uhuru to become a spokesman of a community. So according to you, former retired president should not accept that role? No. What if he accepts it? Well, I don't even think he's as per the constitution and the retirement president benefit, he's supposed to participate in anything political. He's not supposed
Well,
to. After 6 months,
that clause should be discriminatory because Article 38 of the Constitution becomes more superior than any legislation that comes out of Parliament if it contradicts Parliament.
That's what it is.
It was supposed to bring hygiene in the governance.
And especially when you've been given a chance to lead the country. And I thank God that even when he was leaving, he didn't live like Moi. You remember when Moi, it was messy when Moi was leaving. It was very messy. And the way we were very close for the elections, this 2022, I was a bit afraid
that it might
go back to what happens in 2002. I give credit to the Kenya Kwanza government. And I also give credit to the former president. He handed over power without any struggle. Because he would have gone hiding, he would have decided, I'm not accepting, with a lot of decency, and he finished, handed power and left. And I think that's where he should be. Let him become an advisor. He's an elder, we respect him. Let him not. Now, you can even see the kind or the age of the kind of leadership now we have in Parliament. Can you imagine those young people now starting now to talk down on our former president?
They're already doing it even without him occupying that seat. But
so let him not lower himself to that level.
Who is the leader? Who is the current leader of your community?
That's a very bold question because their leaders is the church leaders.
You know what I mean? Political
they are
leader.
Elders.
Political leader of your community.
Political leader, I look at the person who is senior most. Who is the deputy president?
But that's not how your community gets leadership, Sabina. I am not from that community, but I know that is not how your community and the position of leadership of a community.
I know there are some communities who maybe the elders sit and now they decide this is our leader.
Yes.
Remember, when the deputy president became the deputy president, it is not that the community said this is our leader or they did any ceremony. He had his own way and his own political party appointed him as the deputy president. So he automatically became the senior most person in our region. And he is the politician. So there's no one else who can claim
that position.
No.
So does he lose it automatically because he sees, because you've said the senior most, who's right now Rigathi Gachagua, right? So did Uhuru Kenyatta automatically lose that position when he stopped being president of the
Politically,
Republic?
yes. But if you want to talk about maybe elder, those things that are now traditional, Uhuru will get that space. Because
so he can be a traditional leader of the Agikuyu community?
He cannot be a traditional leader because also now when it comes to traditional, now there are those different, I don't want to call them, I'll call them chamas, I don't want to call them sects. There's Kiama, there's Kikuyu Council of Elders, there are different names, now there are many of them. And so there are also wazes who are now also older
than him. So he can be a traditional leader?
No.
Yet he can be a political leader who presides over everyone, including the traditional leaders. He can only be an elder who advises. And he can take that position very well, that he can advise. And his role, having been given the privilege by Kenyans to lead this country for 10 years, we cannot therefore reduce him to become only we can be very selfish, that we want him to be our community leader. No. He needs to be an elder for the entire country. The Wazes from Kalenjin land should access him if they need any advice. The Kaya people, they should, the Luo, the Luyas, the people from all the regions should have, if it's the Samburus. All those people represent the Maasais, the 42 tribes of Kenya. He was their president. So they can be able to, and that's why you have the office of the former president being there, so that anyone who would want advice or anyone who would want to access to him, he is the leader to all of us. But we cannot just say that we want to reduce him to be a Kikuyu leader. No. Power doesn't like vacuum at all. I don't see, I mean, if automatically the central Mount Kenya region gives the leadership of the region to the senior most.
Yes.
Then immediately that leadership is passed next to the senior most. So in a scenario that Rigathi Gachagua was not the deputy president, Kithure Kindiki became probably the deputy president. So he will be the leader of, let me say Gladys Wanga becomes, and we don't have the most senior most at that point. What happens to you?
Doesn't mean the deputy presidency. Even in governments, you look at the executive, the senior most who, they are pecking orders. And so the person who is the senior most then assumes that position.
Even if he's just a
Even a minister.
Principal secretary.
Even a minister. It depends
Will
as a community
yeah.
who is the person who is holding the biggest position. Then that one becomes the leader. And especially in politics. Let's assume then we have like Kimani Ichung'wah, who is now the leader of
majority in the National Assembly.
Then he
so
automatically would assume the leadership.
Political leadership of the community.
Leadership, yes. So, you know, there's a whole hulabaloo that I don't want to go into the details of ceremonies that are done for passing over powers. Maybe those ceremonies have not been done. And because they are done by men, as a woman, I'm not authorized to speak about them.
But
because
Mumbi was a woman.
Mumbi was not holding those, I don't want to call them ornaments, or I don't know what to call them.
But he was a community leader.
Mumbi was not a community leader. Mumbi is the mother.
The mother of the, yes, but she was regarded as a leader. So as a leader.
Gikuyu, no, Mumbi, there's Gikuyu and Mumbi.
Okay.
And so Gikuyu, yes,
okay.
is a man. It's only that Kikuyus were matriarchal because they first had girls. So girls were the ones who belonged to Gikuyu and Mumbi. And so they got them other men from other areas to come and marry them.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why they were at the top
Kikuyu is supposed to be matriarchal, but even today, we've never reached there.
Okay.
Yes.
So
it's still very patriarchal.
Would we say that the mountain is realigning? There's realization based on what you have even said about business. The 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, right? Would you say the Kikuyus have the community that supported massively the president with millions of votes? This community has realized that they've gotten a raw deal in this government, and they have started realigning, and that's the reason that even Limuru 3 happened.
No. One thing I'll tell you, even if I didn't vote for this government, our community has not gotten the raw deal. If you look at the government appointment, there's no other community that has benefited like our own community.
This is about business interests of the community,
you see,
not the political interests.
The politics influences might be business, but we have our business people. They have their own leadership. We have our political leadership. I don't know what is being created, but I will say I don't see any trouble. There's a lot of talks and a lot of meetings happening, like there's trouble in the mountain. But for me, I don't see any trouble.
Okay.
Actually, I would tell you, if we had a Kikuyu as a president, the benefits we have as a community now, with William Ruto being the president, would not have gotten those
You've
benefits.
had 3 presidents.
Yes, but we have, if you look at this government of William Ruto, if there are people he considered and appreciated their voting, without being coerced, without being threatened, are the Kikuyu. But you can name, look at his cabinet.
But Sabina, that is individual. If the majority leader is Kimani Ichung'wah, it's individual.
So what are we looking for now?
So the complaint is about the business people.
Which one?
On the ground. You've just told me about taxes, about a friend of yours.
Are the Kikuyus the only ones who are being taxed?
Not the only ones.
Exactly. So the issue is, if Limuru 3, the one to meet, or if we, the leaders who are lucky to be in parliament or in leadership now, are meeting to say, we have been allocated this amount of money. We have a chairman of budget. So we don't even need to go to the president. We have even the CS Treasury. If our issues is coffee, tea, you know, because we are basically agricultural, we should then be saying this is what our proposal is and a justification. And we have people we can even reach to even before we get to the president. So even if you try to throw tantrums, who are we throwing tantrums to? We have Ndende Nyoro, who is the chair of budget. We have Kimani, if it's this finance bill. The people of Gikomba, Nyamakema, the people who are in the industry, like Matatu industry, which is now being really, will feel the pinch with this finance bill, have access to Kimani. So if it's KRA, who is the chairman of the board of KRA? We have Maura. So unless we are saying the leadership that has been entrusted by the president, who belongs to our region, are not approachable or they are not reachable, that's when then we want to throw tantrums. But otherwise, I would say it would really be unfair.
Okay.
Really being unfair for the people from the mountain to show like they are being sidelined by this government, while else they're the ones who are inside this government. We have the second highest office, which is the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. All the subcommittees of the cabinet first meets with the Deputy President before things are tabled in cabinet. What else do we want?
Why then are there complaints from the Deputy President's team that the Deputy President is being sidelined? We just reported 2 days ago that even the usage of choppers for functions, the Deputy President is being denied.
I don't know. I'm not privy to that information, so I can't talk as an authority. But one thing I want to tell you, I have been in the government for the last 10 years. I was there when Uhuru was the president, and the current president was the deputy president. I never saw the current president as a deputy president use the military chopper even once. We were allocating the budget for the office of the deputy president to State House. I understand, even if you wanted to buy tissue, it was coming from State House. Right now, there's progress. The deputy president can access, and we have seen him accessing the military chopper. The deputy president now has his own budget, whether it's a budget for even the refurbishment, whatever is happening, it's not being controlled by the State House, he has full control. Well, I would say, even Rome was not made within a day.
Okay.
But we have seen progress from what we saw in the last 10 years. And that's why I said, even if we are to complain, surely...
You shouldn't shout very loudly.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I see. I didn't know that we are running out of time, but I need to ask you this question. Why is the Deputy President apologizing to Uhuru Kenyatta?
I think it's the right thing to do. He did already apologize because, in politics, even with the first time I met with the president and we shook hands, he had also said very bad things about me. I was very, I will say soft. I didn't say bad things myself.
You were enjoying the campaigns without saying bad things.
Yes,
Yeah.
I talked about facts. So I never do my campaigns. I never go personal with anyone.
So you had nothing to apologize about?
No, but we said, we were not together. You won, congratulations.
Yeah.
We lost. Life goes on.
Yeah.
And so you can remember the campaigns that Kenya Kwanza did, and especially fighting what the government was doing then, became personal. If you look at the clips before, and I know we used to go with the deputy president a lot of times, especially in the other vernacular stations. So I'll be on the side of Uhuru and he would be on the other side.
Yeah. Or the current deputy president.
Yes, the current deputy president, yeah.
Yes.
So they really used to hit below the belt. And so some of the things they said were very unfair. And so it is prudent for any mature leader to say it was campaign. We may have said bad things about you. We are sorry. It is okay. And that's how politics should be, because it's not an enmity. That campaign season is a season, and whoever wins, wins. Then that's why you should not even say, I'll not go to help these people because they never voted for me. It was a season. You won. So and you should hold your head high because you won. But again, don't then celebrate your win by oppressing
the people.
The people,
who didn't vote for you.
So even immediately after, you can remember there was, I think, the first 1 year, even the talks then from even the deputy president was very tough. There was about shareholding, there was all these many things. And of course, there was the incidents of the goats and the sheep. So these many bad things that happened.
And the gun raid and all
exactly.
that.
But after, and because also the former president was also very, really very rough on Gachagua, because he was also, the deputy president was also, he was also arrested many times, his account frozen, there were all those many things. So the two did bad things to each other. And remember, they have a history. The deputy president current, Rigathi Gachagua, His Excellency, was initially a PA to the former president Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah, when he began his politics.
So, I would imagine a person who was my PA then really being so rough and talking ill things about me, because sometimes when you have a PA will know you more than anybody else. So when they even come to spill your secrets in public, really was not fair. So I would say I appreciated the deputy president apologizing, but that's it.
I want to ask, why now is he apologizing? Because you're simplifying this to, it's campaign's gone, now we should have a new beginning. But that is not the context of the apology.
No, people...
He apologized first and then said at one point, I cannot fight my brother, I cannot fight my sister. And we know who he was referring to. Then went ahead and said again, never again should we be used, right, to insult our brothers and our leaders, right? So, I mean, if you look at the context, wholesome Sabina, it's not about politics is over, we're now in government, let's apologize. It's about the realization that we did something wrong. But what is the reason for that realization? That is the question. Is it not the unsettlement in paradise? Because even the deputy president disappeared for a whole week with his phone off, right? Look at the way Johnson Sakaja spoke the other day at the UDA party, right? Look at how other members of parliament have been speaking about this. Look at how dismissive Oscar Sudi and the ILK have been on the deputy president. I mean, you cannot just say there's everything right and he's just apologizing because it's the right thing to do, Sabina.
You see, this was not the first time he apologized because he did it sometime. This was the second time.
Second time, yeah.
And I wouldn't really, I'm more privy to the issues surrounding the UDA. Number two, I've not had a chance to sit with the deputy president, so I might not be the best person to speak and say what happened.
But you're Kenyan.
But as a Kenyan, he explained and said he had gone for prayers and reflection. But can I also tell you something?
Tell me.
People do things in politics out of emotions, all right? And so there are things then at the campaign, maybe he did them out of emotion, and he has come to realize that, you know, it's easier. And I always give the analogy of a football fan. You know, when you're watching football, if you listen to the conversation, he would have hit, he would have done this, he would have... The experts are the spectators. The spectators really are the experts of football. They say, this one should have been done. They say, yeah. And you can see the emotions running high. But the minute you are told, get inside that field, you can run for 90 minutes without catching the ball. And I think I would say it's a Damascus moment of the deputy president. He has realized that leadership is not easy. Maybe some of the things they blamed the former president Uhuru of not doing, they are now in the same position, being faced the same challenges, and they are making, I would say, same mistakes. Because there's nothing else that can be done.
Okay.
And it's not easy to be a leader. It's not easy to lead a country, and especially with the current economic status. So I think that's why he has come and said, and yeah, where we were just harsh on this guy, he was trying. He has finally come to, you know, one year you'll still say, we found empty coffers, even the rats could not find anything. You had all these excuses for the first year.
Second year you can't.
Second year now, okay, now you had a chance to start building the economy. What are you doing? So there were all these things we cannot demolish, you are demolishing. You had said you not, tax Mama Boga.
You're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You had said you will not, this was a third one. So all these things that you said you will not do, even the price for fuel that has come down now, it is coming down slowly. They say, no, the economies of the other nation cannot determine our prices. It has come, it's a reality. So when reality checks in, as a leader, and it's good, you would take now some time to reflect and say, wow, I was really harsh to this guy, who is my brother, who I worked very close to. And I think I need to tell the person, you would say, because you don't want to say I didn't know, you would say I was misled, but the question will be by who?
Who misled you? That's
Exactly.
the focus.
So, but
I hold this
all in all,
yes,
he has apologized.
I hold this, he has realized it's a road deal. He's getting a road deal where he's seated.
It's not about him.
I think it's about him.
No.
Why? Because even at inauguration, everyone took a positive reconciliatory note.
He was still bitter.
It's all... How
Ken,
you hold
can I tell you
power.
something?
Yes.
People take time to heal.
To heal, okay.
And people are different. Even mourning, when you lose a loved one, there are people who will mourn for a day, there are people who will mourn for a month, others for a year, there are people who will even turn alcoholic, others will be affected and get into depression. So people mourn differently.
And
this one, and especially now, when you are so oppressed, and maybe you didn't even expect you'll get that position, and then God gives you the position, you are not even, you are like, wow, I am here. So the first thing you are like, utaniona. But later you are like, oh, it was not that easy. And maybe so, some of the decisions the former president made were not because he hated us or there was selfish decision. So this is a reality. So when the reality hits, it can hit after 1 year. And I think for the deputy president, the reality is hitting now.
After 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not, and remember, in leadership, it's like in a family. When people get into honeymoon, and when they're getting married, before the dowry, the proposal, all those things, they are very flowery. You get to the wedding, the first 1 year is nice. Then the second year, then things become tough. So you see the behavior. It's not that the guy is a different one. It's only that the reality is hitting. And now you have to adjust yourself. My prayer is that the deputy president and the president should work together as a team. I was in Jubilee from 2018 when things started going south. It was very difficult for us as elected leaders even to work because you didn't know if you do this, you'll upset the president. If you do this, you'll upset the deputy president. And it destabilized all of us, destabilized the country. So I'll say for both leaders, I hope and I pray.
For the sake of the country.
For the sake of the country, not for the sake of a community. Because this country belongs to 43 tribes. For the sake of the country, let them work together as a team. And if they have differences or anything would happen, let them go back inside the house, let them settle whatever things are, because there's nothing that is so difficult. But let them not come out and show the public that things are not okay.
All right.
That one, it is too early. We are just starting the recovery of the economy. We have a lot of people who are now interested in coming to Kenya. We should be asking ourselves, how do we make sure that we increase manufacturing in Kenya? How do we create more jobs? How do we attract the investors to come to Kenya? That is the conversation we should be doing. What are the incentives should we be offering the people, investors who want to come and invest in Kenya? And you know, because generally we have a good population, and especially of young people. And if you look at the European countries, you look at the US, their population is going down. So most of the companies are migrating to come to Africa. It was in April, we had UNICEF global office coming to Kenya in the UN. We have a lot of UN agencies now bringing their global office, moving from New York to come to Kenya. Because Kenya, a lot of things that those partners do, development partners, they are looking at African countries. But they plan for African countries when they are in New York. So they are finding Kenya as a hub and a safe space to come. Let us not have those people lose confidence in our country. People cannot disagree. Things might not be going on,
but let it be sorted.
But let it be sorted in such a way that don't involve us.
Okay.
For now.
I want to play the video of the week. Afterwards, we will close. Let's take a look at the video of the week.
But Daktari, let me ask you two questions. Have you yourself done research on Mira yourself?
Myself, I've not done research on Mira.
Have you chewed Mira yourself?
I've never chewed Mira.
Have you written a paper on Mira yourself?
I've not written a paper.
Sit down.
The volume was a little high. Could you just repeat that video of the week one more time?
But Daktari, let me ask you two questions. Have you yourself done research on Mira yourself?
Myself, I've not done research on Mira.
Have you chewed Mira yourself?
I've never chewed Mira.
Have you written a paper on Mira yourself?
I've not written a paper.
Sit down.
And I'd like to end the show, but your views on this Mira and Mogoka debate?
Oh, it's a very interesting debate because one, I am one person who is fighting for the rights of our young people. You know, when any substance, be it even a sweet or be it soda, that will be abused by the young people and ruin a generation, I wouldn't support. But again, there's a discussion on how can it be moderated, the sales, because, you know, even alcohol is detrimental to the health of our people, but then you are told you cannot sell to a person under the age of 18. There are some regulations that should be put in place. Yes, we want our people from Embu and that region to make money, but again, will we lose our generation because we want people to make money? It's quite such a debate. I feel that the people from Mombasa region should sit with the people from Embu Meru region and reason together. Because currently, the state of those young people in that coastal region is bad. And we can't ignore it. So, and they have not banned actually Mira. They have banned Mogoka. Because it is cheap, it is affordable, and so the young people can access to it anytime. Whether they will talk about maybe the pricing, or how do you access, or how do you limit, you know, who buys, because for now it's free market. Anyone, even a 10-year-old, can go and buy. So it's a debate that, as a mother, I feel sad, because it's sad to see a generation losing themselves
Because of
Muguka.
okay.
But again, we have our farmers. So how do we balance
The
making
commercial
money?
interest.
We must have regulations.
Thank you so much, Sabina Chege.
Thank you.
It was worth the wait. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
I always say that Kenya is our business. And the more we talk, the more we iron out issues.
Yes.
If we keep quiet, they get out of hand. So
That's
thank you so
true.
much for coming on the show tonight. And
Thank
looking
you.
forward to another debate, especially after the finance bill. Let's see how you vote, because I have a number of Kenyans. One of them, I'll read, Jen Kiragu, says, Sabina is always away. When voting for the finance bill last year, she was away. She says she was also away, Limuru 3, but you've given 2 other reasons
Yeah,
why you
I was
you're
not to
in
attend
Limuru.
even if I was here.
Even if you were here, you
I
would
would
not
not have
attend.
attended, yeah.
Yeah. So
They have
after
no
the
benefits.
finance, I'd like to see how you vote for this finance bill. And if the voice of Kenyans and all these organizations who have made their voice known and what they think and the amendments they're asking for
We should look at the final product of finance bill. Because
after Parliament votes.
after we do the amendment and everything else. I
Okay.
think then
That
we'll
is
be
the
debating
point.
what will be the final product of the finance bill.
Okay.
Right now, it's still
A bill.
it's still a bill.
It's still a bill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's room for amendments.
All right.
Yeah.
My name is Ken Mijungo on behalf of the whole team, Damien Evans on sign language, and my guest tonight, Sabina Chege. Have a good night and God bless. Tomorrow night, Ashley Mazuri will be here and she'll have another great conversation. But remember, we begin broadcasting at 6 a.m. all the way to late night, like such a time. Have a good night. God bless.